rules. However, another important question is, why and when do civil servants perform well? What motivates them and leads them to resist corruption? Perhaps because they believe their job is meaningful and they are involved in finding solutions to important problems. We need to focus more on motivating the civil servants. Reforms that focus on making the job meaningful, commitment to mission, positive responses to jobs well done are required. Good governance begins with human security and property rights. Much of economics is trade and exchange. However, trade and exchange happen when property rights are well defined and judicial systems defend them. A well-defined structure of property rights would make property readily tradable and prevent property disputes. Most importantly, such a system will prevent qabza, which is now very common in Pakistan. In the absence of protection of property rights, we go back to the law of the jungle, where all of us are wasting resources to protect our property. The pertinent question is, how can property rights be protected and contracts be enforced in countries like Pakistan? How can firms do business in economies where the rule of law is ineffective or absent?
Once the lobby has acquired wealth and power, it will use that wealth to keep itself going. Therefore, you have this thing that if you start subsidizing, let's say, the production of chairs, then the chair manufacturer will spend money to make sure that his subsidy is never removed. That's why you have the qabza groups, for example, who make sure that the property rights are never established in this country, because if it is, then their qabza goes away. So they will spend money to make sure that property rights are not put in place.
Reliable law enforcement is an essential public good that the state must provide to encourage economic development. Crime is contagious. If the government becomes a lawbreaker, it breeds contempt for law. It invites every man to become a law unto himself. It invites anarchy. To declare that the end justifies the means, to declare that the government may commit crimes, would bring terrible retribution. In the case of Pakistan, access to justice and deficiencies in the rule of law are an acute problem. The rule of law has not been established in Pakistan, and democratic institutions remain weak. This has led to rent-seeking behavior by institutions such as the civil service, military, and the judiciary. This disregard for the law has also seeped through to the marketplace, giving the privileged elite the space to manipulate the market and its rules. This, in turn, has manifested in a culture of corruption in Pakistan. The Global Competitiveness Survey assigns Pakistan a disappointing score of 77 out of 102 with respect to judicial independence, property rights, and corruption. According to this index, the larger the numerator, the worse the score. All exchange is based on a set of rules and their effective enforcement. However, in the Pakistani marketplace, simple transactions such as the purchase of day-to-day commodities has become tainted with repeated disregard for both formal and informal rules. The result is economic wrongdoing and endemic corruption. Successful decentralization and devolution are two important aspects of good governance in Pakistan. Experience has shown that government intervention in markets must be limited and that markets must be allowed to function in a decentralized manner. The efficiency of public service delivery increases with community-based control, thus making a case for devolution. But can the present devolution initiative in Pakistan be meaningful without holistic civil service reforms?
I think that one of the definite necessary ingredients is holistic civil service reform, and that has been attempted previously in Pakistan, but the status quo has been able to maintain its integrity. So what needs to happen now is that a new effort needs to be surmounted, which is in progress, to be able to secure an answerable, accountable district service, which is answerable and accountable to the district and the tehsil, and not the province or the federation or different marble cake type of arrangements that are currently in vogue.
Devolution is not only desirable, it is essential. However, for it to be effective, it has to be people-focused, and the local people have to be informed of their rights. They have to be informed of local-level budget formulation exercises so that they can better monitor the local government and hold it accountable to its promises.
The advent of the provincial finance commissions have set up a whole new paradigm for distribution of provincial revenues across districts, tehsils and unions. And moving from a very politicized ad hoc basis, basically decided on the golf course of Gymkhana clubs between bureaucrats about whether agriculture secretary was going to get a higher increase or health secretary was going to get a higher increase on a given budgetary year by the finance department, was interpersonal to that extent. That was hugely detrimental to any kind of prioritization for poverty-stricken areas, or even to be able to have some prioritization for functions that people wanted more, like for example roads or water and sanitation, as opposed to, let's say, forestry or fisheries.
Reforms orchestrated from the top, without public involvement and a complementary effort from the grassroots, cannot bring about sustainable growth and development. Governance and institutions remain understudied in Pakistan. As economic researchers, we need to build our own knowledge based on how institutions develop. We need to debate the configuration of our governance, rather than relying on the donor community to do our job. It is our responsibility to develop a reform agenda articulated in our domestic reality. People deserve the government they get. The more thinking a society, the better the debate. The more learned the society, the better the government.
Economic, or any other research for that matter, is what drives human productivity, is what drives growth. There is a common misunderstanding in our country that somehow we need more money, we need more infrastructure, we need more roads, we need more this, that, etc. I urge you to reconsider that. We have taken on tons of loans, we have built tons of projects, we have built so much, and yet we remain where we are still poor. Growth, as we learn, as most serious economists will tell you, is all about ideas and knowledge. We have to learn from the world. Our students, our economists must be the best in the world. And they must know the knowledge of the world. And we must create our own ideas, and there must be wide debate on these ideas, the new thinking of the world, and we must begin to understand our own systems. Let us not leave it to the foreign consultant to tell us how to run our business. Learn from them, yes, please do. But please learn so that you can also contribute to the debate, and you should not just be patient listeners.
Pakistani researchers and thinkers have not produced that kind of thinking and debate that facilitates good governance. We hope that this initiative will facilitate research. We at PIDE believe that ideas move nations.